evening, beautiful ladies, and a Merry Christmas to everyone watching and to my lovely panel. We are having a very jolly stream here tonight. Only good feels, no negativity allowed. It's Christmas. I'm wearing something Christmassy, and it is actually a dress. And I'm joined by two very jolly ladies. Cows, I love the profile picture.
Thank you, and Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas to everyone. Good to be on here.
And welcome back, Birdie, and not for the first or even the 20th time, I think.
It's been too many to count, but good evening and Merry Christmas to all. It's lovely to be back. As many people know, I've been rather busy of late. So.
Yeah, we had your Douglas Castle sponsorship intro. I put that at the start of every episode now. So for people who haven't seen it before, who don't know what it is, would you like to give us a brief introduction to Douglas Castle?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's kind of the reason I've been a little absent actually with the winter period. Douglas Castle is my very small business. I make my own jewelry. I do photography. And actually, I need to send you some new photos, Po, because the calendar that's in there, I've completely sold out of calendars, which is amazing. This year is probably the best markets I've had, especially today. I've completely sold out of calendars. The Robin photo that's on there, I've sold quite a few prints of those. Jewelry-wise has been going very well recently as well. And as I was saying to you behind the scenes, actually, I have a couple of my photos actually on their way to Provence, which is a fantastic end to the year, I think. So yes, my photos are now going to be featured in someone's lovely home in France, which is which is definitely a highlight. So yes, brilliant. I do have a Twitter page which is called Douglas Castle. If you can't find it, send me a message, not a problem. I do a lot of markets as well, so do follow that page to see what I'm up to, where I am. Don't see that in a creepy way, obviously. Don't use it to stalk me. That's please. But no, that's kind of what it's my side hustle, should we say? It's not my main job, unfortunately. But no, I do enjoy it. So it is. It's very lovely to see a lot of support everywhere, really, which is nice. But the Twitter page is quite small at the moment, so please do go show your support on there if you can. If not, send me a message. We can figure things out.
Yep. No link in the description because I'm terrible at doing the descriptions of streams. But Douglas Castle 17 on Twitter, yes. I believe.
Don't ask about the 17. I couldn't just get Douglas Castle, so I had to put a random number, the classic. To
small business problems, yeah.
Yeah, small business problems.
And just another place you can go find us is the Unpopular Opinions Christmas party was on Tuesday, and all three of us were present, as well as Amy, and as well as both Alexes were made an appearance. Morgoth was there, having some hilarious discourse about pork pies. There was there was some scientific field research from Lambda eating pork pies to discover the jelly inside, which I really enjoyed.
It was rather amusing.
Best 5 hours of your life.
It was quite funny. I do have to apologise to AA and everybody, actually. I was there very briefly, but I was half falling asleep in the background, so I'm not hopefully present.
Very Christmassy vibes.
Well, I mean, I have to apologise because I was there and I wasn't even invited. I had to come in with
I love it. Well, you weren't even under your own name, which was even funnier.
Yeah.
All right. I've been really sloppy on super chats lately. My New Year's resolution is to read every single super chat. Just so you know, starting now. From the English list, we have $9.99. He's going to watch this later. Merry Christmas, ladies, and Happy New Year. Be safe and glad you love... he's glad we love Master and Commander, one of my favourite films. Do Charge of the Light Brigade, 1968 film. I have seen Charge of the Light Brigade, but it was a very long time ago.
Agreed,
so that's our suggestion for next coming up, unless it's topped by another super chat. Send in your suggestions if you want to see topics for the new year. This was Master and Commander. Our title subject, main topic of tonight, is another suggestion. It may not have even been the highest paying, but it was it's almost like I've been waiting. Like I invented Women's Hour, like hoping that someone would ask me, Poe, what do you think about Master and Commander, so that I could launch into a 1 hour diatribe on the subject. So I was so pleased to receive that recommendation that I cleared my schedule. Nothing else matters except for reviewing Master and Commander. And I was so shocked to get both Birdie and Cows on board, having already seen and loved this film. Because this film is famous not just for being an amazing film, but also for being not very well received by the fairer sex. Have you ever heard that reputation?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with Master and Commander. I mean, I think it's a bit of a running joke, as it has been on this channel. I don't really watch films, so I think as soon as I piped up, I was like, yes, Master and Commander. I am 100% there for it.
Absolutely,
Brilliant film.
It's shocking the things you haven't seen, and the fact that you have seen Master and Commander just makes it even more amazing.
I mean, I'm full of surprises, Po. The films I have seen and the films I haven't seen. I was absolutely obsessed with this film. I mean, as a teenager, I'm not going to go into too much of my age, as it's still a bit of a running joke on this channel. But no, I absolutely love this film. It's very comforting for me, I think. I don't think it should be, but it is.
I thought maybe you didn't have much of an interest in film, but what I didn't know is that you've been just eschewing every single other film in the universe, and you just watch Master and Commander over and over again. You go, but Alex says to you every night, Birdie, what film should we watch tonight? Should we watch Lord of the Rings? Shall we watch Shawshank Redemption? And you say, no, I want to watch Master and Commander again, please.
It's really bad. There are a handful of films that I absolutely love, and I'm very happy to watch over and over again, and this is one of them. It's a bit of a running joke as well that as we know, I don't watch films. I just don't. I cannot sit through a film and watch it, whereas Master and Commander is one of those where I can watch it over and over and over again. And as when I was younger, it was, again, my family used to go on trips, and one of them was to Portsmouth, so of course we saw HMS Victory and HMS Warrior, so that just fed the whole image of Master and Commander, and I was like, I love it even more now. I can, I'm on the ships, I can see everything, and it was great. And I was a teenager at this point, which it just made it even better. But the only thing that made me shocked, and I don't know if it was the same for you ladies, but I did have to research it earlier, and it actually says it down the bottom. It was released in 2003. Now, I don't know if that made you ladies feel old, but it certainly made me realise my age. I was like, oh, right, okay. So this came out quite a while ago. So
yep, getting on for 20 years now.
Which is kind of embarrassing, really. So it's like, if anyone hasn't seen it, please do go and watch it. If you have not seen this film, please watch it with an open mind as well. I will say watch it with an open mind.
I don't know why you need an open mind. I'll just read out what I wrote about it, because I try to sum up my thoughts in 240 characters for advertising this stream. I called it the action-adventure film for the thinking man. Swords, guns, honour, friendship, revenge, and weevil jokes. If you only have 2 hours left to live on Earth, I would still recommend watching Master and Commander. And if you have more time than that, join us for Wamen Hour.
Brilliant. I love it. I mean, it's definitely not a girly film. I will definitely say that. It's not a girly film. However, women do like this film. I've known quite a few women to be very, very passionate about this film for many reasons, not just the gentleman in it, of course, but the storyline, music, absolutely everything about this film just draws you in.
I think Master and Commander seems almost like it goes out of its way to appeal to a female audience. It's almost like it knows, like, okay, we know that ship battles are not interesting for women, so we're putting in all of this friendship and like this emotional turmoil, this all of this like character stuff is very much more appealing to women. All of this personality. That is absent from, I think, a lot of war movies that just make women just switch off.
Absolutely. But I have to admit, bit of a guilty pleasure, I do enjoy the battle scenes. In this particular film, there is something about it that just, I do enjoy the battle scenes of this film.
But special effects are very good. Action choreography, very good. It incorporates the action into the personal story, if that makes sense. So the characters' personalities are being presented in the way that they're acting, if that makes sense. So you're not just watching some men fighting. It's like the men, why they're fighting. It really, you're invested. Cows, any opening
get
thoughts?
behind it.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that about you, Birdie, about your sort of about like films and stuff. Because I'm like the same way. I am not a movie person whatsoever, and recently I've been trying to watch more stuff with Hat just to cozy vibes. Especially like around this time of season, and I've always kind of been like autistic about boats and like nautical stuff.
I agree.
I despite not really being into movies, I always had a fascination with the Titanic from a young age, movie and just the sort of like history and science behind like why everything happened as it did. And ever since, I've just been really into nautical themes, nautical movies, oceans, stuff like that. And he actually got me onto what we now lovingly refer to as boat kino. By
Also known as Age of Sail.
Yes.
Oh, amazing! I love it.
By watching, if you've seen The Terror.
Yeah, I was just about to say The Terror.
Yes. It's so good. It's about, for those of you who don't know, it's about the journey to find the Northwest Passage. They had one boat, the Terror, and one boat, the Erebus, and you'll have to see how that ends. I'm not spoiling that. We're not talking about that today.
I do want to talk about it. Someone recommend The Terror. Someone pay us to talk about The Terror, because I want to talk about that with cows.
But yeah, so right after we finished that, loved it, and then we watched this, and it's so great. I don't even think about the fact that there's like not like female characters. It's just a great film. It's just it's great as it is. I love the sort of era of films of this type where they just kind of throw you into the action. They don't worry about like overly explaining the backstory and that sort of thing. It's just like you're there. You're like a fly on the wall. You're watching everything happen, and it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, absolutely, and I can totally agree with you on the autistic side of ships. Which I don't understand. I know so many women who are so interested in historical ships specifically, not necessarily the new ones. So specifically like these, like the frigates, etc. And I went, little story time for you ladies. Another thing you don't know about me. I went on a tall ships expedition when I was 14 years old, just a wee nipper. It was for 10 days, and it was on a ship called Leader, and she was actually a Brixham trawler. So if anybody knows anything about Cornwall in general, she's one of the last Brixham trawlers. Actually, Guy Martin. If anybody knows Guy Martin, again, another little mini obsession of mine. I love Guy Martin. He actually helped to restore the ship. So being on a smaller version of the ships in the photo here, that again just kind of brought me more into the film. So being able to experience it, we did actually sail our ship, and I did sleep in a little bunk bed and all this, and it was tiny. It was great. I absolutely loved it. So in terms of having these ships and being really interested in them, again, Titanic. Again, I don't know what it is. I think every female has an obsession with Titanic over a while, and not just the film. I wanted to know everything about the ship. I wanted to know everything.
Yeah.
Like, did you know one of the funnels is fake? Just these stupid little things like pub quiz notes that you need to know. But there is some sort of autistic obsession of women with historic ships, I think. Comments. We need comments on. Do you think this is true? Poe, are you the same with this, or is it just me and Cows who have this weird obsession with ships?
No, I mean, I think I don't really have. One of my least autistic traits is that I don't really have a really focused obsession with things in that way, like boats or trains or cars or anything really. The closest thing to an obsession I have in life is drawing. Drawing anime and cartoons. But even then, I don't really memorize facts about it. But I appreciate it. Obviously, I like Titanic. I like I really like looking at the sort of historical settings and boats and things.
It was to the point with me that I begged my parents to drive to Boston to find a salvaged plate. There's like a salvaged plate from Titanic, like the dining hall on display.
I want to see the plate.
Yeah. And It's like this tiny, tiny little museum with like there's some of the stuff from the movie. There's like one of the boards they used in the background when the ship had sunk. One of the lights from the dining hall, and just
someone pay us to talk about Titanic, because we got to talk about Master and Commander tonight. We'll talk about Titanic another time.
Yeah, I'm so in for that. No, okay. I get what you mean though, Cal. So quickly before, I know Poe wants to jump in on the next, but over here I think it's very prominent for, especially this country, having the historical ships, because every museum I've been in, there's been either a painting or an artifact or something relating to the British Navy. So you see something like a film like Master and Commander, and you're instantly drawn to it. You want to know the story, you want to know the characters. So I think it's very much you want to grab into that. And of course, it was a book. It was a series of 20 books actually, before it was a film. I do have a book out of the series. I cannot afford the full 20 series. If anyone wants to help me fund that,
I couldn't really get into the books, to be honest. I couldn't finish it.
Very difficult to read. Yeah, I found Master and Commander: Far Side of the World, which is one of the first books. Actually, very hard to read. Patrick O'Brien, for anybody who's, there is a couple of questions in the in the comments, but they're worded very oddly, and I'm not saying that from a female brain. I'm saying that because Alex has tried to read it, my dad's tried to read it, and they are quite difficult reads, I have to admit. I have managed to power through, and I have managed to read it, but it did take me a while, I have to admit. So when I saw the film, it did make a lot of sense, but there's also, like any film that's taken after a book, there's a lot missing, whereas they've also included a lot more, and you can't relate the two. But I was very annoyed that they didn't carry on the series of the books, as I think that would have made a fantastic trilogy of films if they'd carried on with the rest of the series.
Yeah, they should have made 20.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
but the plot of the film is actually very simple. Like, you don't have to know anything about the Napoleonic Wars, and I'm ashamed to say. I wish they taught us more about them in school. But it's not really on the curriculum. You have to go out of your way to learn about that stuff, I think.
Yeah. I live with Alex, so I mean, it's a case of I have to know about it because I live.
But you don't have to know anything. No. You just have to you know what the ship you're on, and you know that there's another ship that they're chasing, and that's really it. And I guess this is a good time to bring up the Star Trek comparison, which is so contentious on Twitter, because the thumbnail of them. Shall I share I won't bother, but I'll put on these two characters because this is the simplest way to get this across. If you're familiar with the film, the captain, he's Captain Kirk. He's got a different name. he's in a different era, different setting, but his personality is Captain Kirk. It's not the chap. His name's Stephen, isn't it? So I'm talking about Captain Jack Aubrey, very much Kirk-like. His first mate and physician, Stephen Maturin. Very much Spock-like. Although I got into an argument with the Britisher over whether he was more like Spock or more like McCoy, he's a doctor in Star Trek. But okay, I also got told off because people were saying that I was accusing the film of copying Star Trek, and didn't I know it was based on a novel and blah 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 blah. No, I'm not saying it's a copy or a rip-off or anything. I think it's actually I don't know the history of how the influences go. I'm guessing it's a case of similar to the latest adaptation of Dune, where watching Dune, it really feels like it's very similar to Star Wars, like the first Star Wars movie, in a lot of ways. But that doesn't mean that the new Dune is copying Star Wars, because the book of Dune was written before Star Wars. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing about, going back to Master and Commander, the books are obviously much older than Star Trek. So you can imagine the writers of Star Trek have read these naval fiction, Age of Sail. Obviously, these ships in space, they're somewhat inspired by this kind of fiction, and maybe even specifically inspired by Master and Commander series. So there's that, and then there's the movie, which is made after Star Trek, which you can also take it's a reciprocal relationship where it can then take influence from Star Trek, specifically the original series. But it's not just the characters. It's also just, it's a ship, it's on water, right? You just take that ship in water and put it in space. You change all of the words like, rigging and sail and stuff to, quantum... whatever, lithium ion crystals, like, it doesn't matter.
I honestly didn't think you could ruin this film for me, and you are very much working on it.
I'm not saying that you should do that, or that would be like but for Star Trek fans, I think it enhances the experience of watching it. Like, you feel like you're watching.
No, I refuse. I'm not. Again, there was basically a story time behind scene that I didn't tell Poe, and it was about my situation with Star Trek. And I don't want to say I hate it. However, my dad, bless him, he loves Star Trek, and I basically used to get up for school, and Star Trek would be on. I'd get home from school, Star Trek would be on. I come and visit now, Star Trek would be on. But now, just to top it off, obviously I don't live with my parents anymore. I live an hour and a half away from my parents. If I now visit Alex's parents' house, his youngest brother loves Star Trek. So I walk into the house and Star Trek's on. So I am absolutely haunted by Star Trek. I think it's got to the point where when you hear a song over and over again and you begin to hate it. It's now got to that point. I've seen it so much.
The Christmas music of television.
Yeah, exactly. It is exactly that. I've seen every episode of every series with every character in Star Trek. So you relating Star Trek to one of my favorite films, Poe.
Okay, someone pay us to talk about Star Trek. Otherwise, we're putting that away for tonight. That's all I wanted to say about Star Trek. Except that this comparison was not invented by me. It was invented by my husband, or I don't know if he originally invented it, but he was the one who told me that it was a Star Trek film.
I have to admit, I can see where you're coming from. However, there are a lot of differences, as well as some similarities. So it's you could want to. Thank you, Lady of Shalott, for your comment. You could, of course, compare it, but I feel like I don't want to, just because I don't want to bring, especially actually deep lore for you, Poe. Do you know the dates of when Star Trek was released? Because the first book, so Master and Commander, the Far Side of the World, which is what this film's based from, was released or published in 1969. Now, was that before or after Star Trek?
That's probably after the first Star Trek series, now that you mention it.
Yeah, so I was sat there thinking, I was like, was it before or was it after? Because the last one, because Patrick O'Brien, sadly passed away in 2000. So his last book was published in 2004.
He never got to see the film.
Yeah, it was actually published very, very late. So the book came out. Yeah, the book came out in 2000. The film, came out in 2003. So he didn't actually get to see the film. So in terms of it, I always thought Master and Commander, the books especially, were a lot older than they actually were. But they're
I was under that impression too.
Yeah. So there you go, bit of deep lore for you. But yeah, then they're actually not, which was quite interesting. They're all.
Then why are they written so? Clunky like that? You kind of excuse it in 100-year-old book. Like, why did this guy writing in the 60s write it so?
Yeah, I have some books on my bookshelf that are written a lot clearer, shall we say, and a lot easier to follow than.
I mean, C.S. Lewis was writing before that. He was clear as day. Like, you can read that to a modern child and they understand what's going on.
Yeah, I feel like for anyone who's read Master and Commander who want to, I would suggest definitely giving it a go. But I would also suggest kind of, have you ever sort of read anything? So you don't read it very deeply. You kind of read
listen to the audiobook.
Or listen to the audiobook. Completely cheat and listen to the audiobook. But it does jump around a bit. So if you have a good sort of imagination, it does help, especially when trying to read Master and Commander, because there's a lot of sort of scene changes is what I would call it. And don't compare it to the film, because they are very different. They start off very, very different. There's a lot more in the book than there is in the film. So it does condense it very well, and be aware that it is a book out of a series of 20 books. So there's quite a few. Oh no, Hornblower. Yeah, that's another one.
Okay, we've got another super chat for $2 New Zealand about Hornblower series. I've never seen it. Sorry.
My mum's obsessed with Hornblower. That's another one. It was another. Again, yeah, I never watched it. It was another one I kind of walked in on quite a few times, and I couldn't get into it. I couldn't get into Hornblower. Weirdly, I might do now. I might have to try and watch it again and see if I can get into it now.
DRT is King has given us $10. His complaint as an American is that they swapped the Americans for the French. Hopefully you'll come to my topic suggestions in the new year. Merry Christmas. Yeah, we had a few outstanding ones from DRT. Thanks very much for your super chat, and for everyone else who super chatted. We also had one from Panama Hat about the fact there's no women in the film. I just want, without going too much into it, it doesn't bother me at all. Birdie, you said the same. It's kind of a misconception, I think. Like the Bechdel test, like gives people the impression that women only want to watch films about women. Like I don't care at all.
It's not true. Yeah, I don't really notice it. I don't really. There is. I think you're about to say the same thing, Cows. But there is a couple of women, and
they're like in a canoe or something.
There's women on camera, like
there are women on camera, but that's it. Yeah.
I mean there's no women in Watership Down either.
No, but it is, when you think about the film, it is based on historical events. So the Napoleonic War. If there was a woman on a ship, there is something going severely.
Yeah, it'd be very cringe if there was a woman in this film.
Yeah. So. Yeah, if there was a woman in this film, it would just be wrong. It wouldn't be the film. It would not be the Napoleonic Wars. So I can understand why there aren't any women in this film. I'm not offended by it. I do not care. It's a great film.
I've started being eternally like unnaturally grateful for all adaptations that were made in the like pre woke era. Yeah. I know that woke's been going on for a long time, and we're just experiencing like the crescendo of it. But still, like this adaptation. Obviously, I haven't read the books, but you can imagine what it would be like released now. Like you can't even be nominated for an Academy Award unless you have this and that, and whoever.
And they have to have a certain amount of screen time.
Exactly. It's all just any adaptation that like ends up going well. Just cherish it, right? just be so glad.
Yeah, I mean, Master and Commander was actually nominated for many, many awards and won many awards, including 2 Academy Awards, actually. Was it 2 or 3? Hold on. I can't remember now.
Yeah, loads, I think. It ended up winning sound editing.
Sound editing and Best Cinematography were definitely 2 Academy Awards.
Can I say how much I loved the scene that's on screen now? There's 2 scenes where they play music together, and when I say that this is a film about friendship, this is really the core of the film for me. Is these 2 characters, and this little song they play together is so. I want to say lovable, but that sounds so girly. I just love. It's very sweet. Yeah.
I feel like
just bros being bros.
Can we find a clip of that? Or?
I don't want to be copyright struck, but I know they play Boccherini. Is the composer. Brilliant piece of music. I listened to it in preparation for the stream while I was working. It's put on some Boccherini.
Actually, it's played on Classic FM quite a lot. Yeah, I just dobbed myself in there. I do listen to Classic FM. No, they do play it quite often, and I do admit I do turn it up when it's played. It is such a beautiful piece of music.
It's so good.
The music they've chosen for this film is very poignant, and it is very fitting to the scenes that they've chosen.
Yeah,
it does kind of draw you into the film. So even the battle scenes, they don't choose chaotic music where it's all going mad. They choose music where you're drawn into it and you feel for the characters. And I think that's why a lot of women are drawn to this film, because women have feelings, believe it or not. So we are drawn into this film because of the feelings that you do end up embracing with these characters. You feel like you're in the moment, especially if you are, you do have Blakeney.
I love him.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, my heart.
But before we move on to Blakeney, someone just mentioned him in the chat. But I wanted to say that I read some trivia about this film in preparation for the stream, and Russell Crowe apparently learnt the violin for this film. Like
really?
He's actually, whether it's actually him playing on the audio track, it's him playing on camera. Like he is actually playing what it looks like he's playing.
That's great. I love that.
And he plays it like a ukulele at the end as well, which is very sweet.
Yeah, it's quite funny.
Yeah, so when I say friendship, obviously Stephen and the captain, Captain Jack Aubrey, very nice friendship. I love that that part of the middle of the film where there's this whole set piece. They put on this sort of chase that they're chasing this other ship. They put it on hold for a little while because they sail past the Galapagos Islands, and the physician, he's also a bit of a naturalist, like as a hobby, and he really wants to study the animals there. And unfortunately, they can't stop because they're chasing this other ship. He has to sacrifice all of these animals he wants to study so that they can go on this revenge mission that the captain really wants to do. But in the end, he just before they end up leaving, the physician gets accidentally shot in the gut and has to perform surgery on himself. It's absolutely amazing, this entire sequence and all of the events. This part of the film,
well, they did go back. They did go there beforehand because they lost the French ship that they were chasing, so they did take a bit of a hiatus.
I thought that was this part where they, after he's shot, they end up having to take a break.
Went back. Yeah, after he was shot, they went back to the Galapagos Islands because they needed. Well, Captain Aubrey wanted. He obviously didn't want his friend nor the doctor to die on him. So yeah, they went back to the Galapagos Islands in order for him to be able to perform the surgery. So they actually went there twice, which is quite interesting. But I do think, I don't know if you ladies have noticed this, but I do think that the Doctor has a little bit of a nod to Darwin because he's very much into, and there's a bit of a nod again about the camouflage aspect. So when they're looking at the stick insect.
That's the through line yeah,
it's brilliant. I absolutely love it. They bring the stick insect onto ship, and of course, for anyone who has seen the film, Captain Aubrey's a bit sort of, I'm not into that sort of discovering nature nonsense.
He finds it a bit boring and not very.
He doesn't understand the whole excitement about it. So he's then looking at the stick insect that the Doctor's picked up from the Galapagos Islands, and the Doctor's obviously amazed by this creature. And they're looking at the camouflage, and Aubrey then sees this camouflage and takes that into battle and thinks, no, I can use that. We'll camouflage the ship in order to confuse the enemy. And it of course it works. But I love that little touch, and they help each other out without even realizing it. So that does give a little nod to the friendship aspect.
And it foreshadows the ending, of course, which I won't spoil in case anyone hasn't seen it. But,
this is why I wanted them to make another film, because it really annoyed me. The ending still annoys me to this day.
Yeah, and so I just wanted to mention that part because I obviously in that part with the island thing, they go away from the island, they come back, and he recovers from the surgery that he does, so taking the bullet out. That scene is so tense and brilliant. I love that all of that part even more than the action. Really, that's what I say about they putting them stuff in there for women. It's like that stuff is really engaging to me. So he ends up going to this island after all and making these great discoveries of all these animals that aren't known to science. He's really excited, and he's got his little his friend Blakeney's helping him out. His little apprentice naturalist, and then he has to make a sacrifice for Jack for the mission because he sees the ship again, and he has to just discard all of the things he's just collected, leave them behind, open the cages and let them out so that he can because it's important to his friend and to the mission and to his his duty. He just has to give it all up, which I think is really sweet. But it also when I watched it this time around, this is like my fourth time watching it, and that beetle that Blakeney gives to him. The first time they sail away, he doesn't get to see all the animals, but Blakeney catches a beetle for him and says, oh, maybe this could be an interesting discovery, like trying to cheer up Stephen, the Doctor. And then at the end, when I won't spoil it completely, but when Blakeney is needing of cheering up, he uses the same beetle or the same species of beetle and gives it to him to take his mind off of the grief that he's going through, which I think is it's kind of reciprocal nature of these friendships where you there's a kind of mirror image thing going on.
Yeah, I think that's got a lot to do with, in terms of, there's a line in the film where Captain Aubrey's, before they go into battle, actually, they're saying the ship is their island, the ship is Great Britain, it's their home. And when you kind of hear that, it's kind of like, well, yes, of course it is, because they're fighting for their country, but at the same time, they're with the same people all the time. That is their family. It's not just work colleagues or friends. That's their family at the end of the day. So they have to be there for each other. And there's a lot of nod to that. It's not just a case of, I'll help you up if you fall down. There's a very much, we are men at the end of the day. But if you're upset, I'll try and cheer you up with this little beetle. It is very, it's very cute and it's very sweet, and there's a lot there where you kind of just go, oh, you do feel bad for them, and I feel like there's a motherly instinct when you watch this film of you just want to bring them home, you just want to give them a cup of tea, you feel bad for them.
All they have is each other, and they, the music they play together and the shanties they sing together are like, that's the only that's the only joy they get.
Yeah, that's their comfort, and it's kind of like, oh, you just want to, and especially with Blakeney, touching on Blakeney again, he's a child.
Yeah.
You watch this and he is a child, and you sit there and it's like, oh, it's
horrible.
Why is he there? Why is he there? But of course, you have to remember that these things did happen. There were children on ships, and even though he is not treated like a child at all, but
they call him Mr. Blakeney. Like, that's not his Christian name. That's everyone's calling him Mr. Blakeney.
Yeah, is it William? Williams?
I don't even know.
But yeah, they call him Master Blakeney. So obviously he's very much part of the team and part of the crew. But I do think with the Doctor does kind of, he's still occasionally will look at him and think, no, you still are a child. And that does hurt in some ways. It's like, oh God, don't do that. And it is painful, I think, but that's kind of how it draws you in, because you get to know each character, and then because it's not 100% historically accurate, but it is based in a historical era, and you do then remember, and it does bring you in that they were like that. You did have children on ships, and that did happen. So in terms of drawing women in, I do think we've got a bit of a motherly instinct and a caring aspect about these men.
Speaking of women, just want to read the super chat from Lady of Shalott that this actor Paul Bettany is married to Jennifer Connelly. Yes. I didn't know that.
Yeah, you just have to bring up that photo. That's a bit of a.
He looks a bit of a nerd in that one, doesn't he? He's got these big mutton chops. Like, I'll have to say that both of these characters, these main leads, or all of the characters actually, they're very admirable and very masculine and very competent. But the way that they're like dressed and the style of the fashion and the era, and they're all covered in sweat and dirt all the time, they're really not like very physically attractive in this film. It's all about their personality.
Yourself, Po.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm not into the ponytail or the mutton chops. Is all
no,
I love it. It's great.
Very much into this, but I know I have to agree with Poe on this one. It's very much the whole attitude about it. They're very manly. They're doing a job that it does involve going away for a long period of time. They're away from their wives. They're away from their children. They're defending their country. It's a case of you're a man. You're actually doing this because you want to come back to them, not because you wanted to go away, because you want your country to be there at the end of it. And that just doesn't exist anymore. You look at these men, I mean, even Russell Crowe managed to pull this off, I think, very well, because when you think of Russell Crowe being the captain of a ship, you do think it's a bit of a joke. Let's be fair. You think, okay,
you don't think of him as Gladiator? I mean, I do.
Yeah, I mean, you think of Gladiator and you think, okay, that was pretty good. But then you think, okay, let's put him in a naval officer's uniform. Let's see what he does when we do that. But then, of course, you compare that to Les Mis and see when he starts singing. So
he's a versatile actor. I mean,
yeah,
I'm a fan. He's all fat and puffy now, and he's not. He's in the twilight of his career, I'd say. He hasn't been in anything good for a while.
Yeah,
I think The Nice Guys was the last thing he was. The last really good film he did, and he was kind of fat in that as well.
Yeah, I think
Kirk is based on. Sorry, just want to read this super chat from DRT is King for $2. Kirk is more based on Horatio Hornblower.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I would actually agree with that.
Fair enough. I do want to hit on that part. This ship is England. Is that what they say?
Yes.
The thing is, what that really evokes for me is this, England isn't the soil, it's the people and it's the culture, and it's, it's the way of upholding the principles of Englishness. And in the middle of the ocean, there's nothing to enforce it, right? There's only each other. Like they are all English and they're all on a boat, and that makes the boat English, and that makes it a tiny little island of England in the middle of nowhere.
At the end of the day, they are serving king and country. So in terms of the ship, you have, like as you say, Po, you've got everybody there who are essentially England, but the captain is essentially king, because he's serving under the king, and therefore you're looking up to him. So he's then controlling that little community, well, I say little, large community on that ship, and they are fighting for their country. So they become a mini England, as you say. So they are moving as one. And of course, it's not just this ship. You have got hundreds of ships, because back then England was basically run by the Navy. Our Navy was incredibly strong, and this was it. This was our livelihood. We had our Navy, and that's what we were very, very proud of. So in terms of the each ship being a mini England, if you've got many of those heading towards any enemies, or in this term, currently, 'tis the French. If they are heading towards the French as a mini island, they're naturally going to feel stronger, because let's face it, we're not a big country. We are actually one of the smallest. However, we are one of the strongest because of this sense of community, and that is something that we need to hold on to, because you send them off to a ship and instantly they will turn that into, this is England, let's go for it. There was no argument about it. They had that in their heads to go and do that, which was something we definitely were very, very good at.
So before we move on from Russell Crowe and Jack Aubrey, something subtle that I really liked about his performance, and maybe this is just in my head, but I feel like they really emphasized just how much that confidence and bluster and sort of gung-ho personality that he has, like that is him, but it's also, he has to put on that front for the men. Like he has to inspire morale. Like, this is what we're doing. We can do it, and we will do it. And there's I really like that sort of exchange between him and Stephen, where Stephen just, accuses him of just following his own pride. Like he really doesn't care about the war. He's only trying to like serve his own sense of grandeur. Like he really wants to do something important for his own sake. And there's that slight character conflict, that kind of question in the back of your mind of like, what exactly is going on inside Jack Aubrey's head? Like, what are his motivations? Is he really as confident as he appears, or is he just, he has to suppress his fear on behalf of his men?
Yeah, and I think, especially in the scene where there is the one female that we see in this film, he does kind of a double take, and there are parts of me that think, okay, he's a sailor, he hasn't seen a woman in a very long time, that kind of look. But at the same time, you kind of see in his face, I've got family at home, there is a woman back at home. And a lot of them, you do see that in a lot of the sailors' faces. It's not just a case of, oh yeah, that's a bird, I'll go towards that. There is definitely a sense of family there, and you kind of do see in their faces, and you do remember again that they do have a home. Their home is not just the ship, even though their family is technically the ship and the crew members for that amount of time, a very long amount of time as well. They do have families and friends at home. They did come from their own homes to drop everything and leave. So you do think to yourself, what is Aubrey actually thinking? What's actually going on? Does he want to go home? Has he had enough of this? Because in some scenes, I'm sure both you ladies will agree, you can kind of tell he's had enough of chasing ships. He's chasing the French constantly. He's like, I've had enough of this. I want to go home, but I'm going to do it because that's my duty. There is very much a sense of pride and a sense of duty there. And he does feel like he has to do that for king and country, and not just for them, but for his own men and himself as well. And of course, for those at home. So he will just keep going regardless of the situation. So there is definitely a front there because of that.
It's that kind of depth of character that I think makes rewatches so entertaining for certain films, where there is a certain amount of mystery as to, we don't just get these long monologues where the character tells us exactly how they're feeling. You can't. There's a certain amount of interpretation, and you can, you it's like you see it differently every time you watch it. You see something new. You're wondering about what exactly is going on with in his mind at that moment.
Yeah, and I think it's very poignant in the books as well. They actually start off in port. They don't actually start off on the ship. The characters, not just Captain Aubrey, but the Doctor and some of the other sailors, are actually in port. They're staying in the local residencies. They're in the pub. They're on land. So they're all kind of gathering together before they go away, and you do get a little touch of each character, whereas the film, you kind of just dive straight into the ship. You dive into that sort of England, that little community they've got as their little England, rather than the country itself, England or Britain, and then taking it away to the ship. So there is definitely a divide there.
Well, I'm just checking my notes about everything I wanted to say about this, and we've covered everything. So, Cows, anything you wanted to bring up about this film? Can I find an image for you?
I was going to say one last thing just about the sort of female juxtaposition. We moved on from that before I could kind of butt in. But I was just gonna say that in this film, and I mean, not to ramble more about like Titanic, when the woman is introduced into this like undeniably very male space, you can just very much feel the juxtaposition between the two sort of lives that they're probably living. And I was going to compare it to Titanic when they're running through the steam room, how it's just so like absurd that this woman in this frilly pink dress is like running through this male space. And I as someone who has like studied extensively on ship duties, what the different rooms are used for, what sorts of people work in each room, it's just, I feel like it's just very telling in this film and in several of these films where women are introduced, whereas nowadays it's like they try to make the women mesh completely with the male duties, and it's just not natural. It's not historically accurate, and I think that this film does a very good job of that.
Yeah.
This is what I was complaining about on Twitter a few weeks ago, because I was playing Elden Ring. Me and my husband are both playing it on our separate accounts, and he's playing as a man and I'm playing as a woman. And all of the character interactions, like every single one, they've only got one dialogue recorded for the NPCs. So the suggestion being that the NPCs in this universe, they just react to you identically if you're a man, if you're a woman, if you're fat or short or skinny or attractive or unattractive or rich or poor. Like, but especially the male or female thing, as if you can just like lift a man away and put a woman there, and everyone will just treat them identically, and that all of the encounters will just play out in the exact same way. I love Elden Ring, and I understand that it's a video game, so you can't record infinite dialogue options, but it does kind of remind me of that mindset where you can imagine a 2022 adaptation of Master and Commander, where they're like, okay, well, what if we could just put some women on board and they'll just be playing the male characters?
It would. I honestly think it would flop, because it's just not correct, is it? I mean, you would not see women near a ship of this type. You would not see it, because women on board naval ships were deemed as bad luck. And let's be fair, we can see why. So you just don't do it. And for it to be historically accurate to a certain point, women were not seen. They were back at home, they were on shore, etc., etc. You would not see a woman on a ship. If you did, something catastrophic has happened, or
it's about to.
Or it's about to. Yeah, it would not happen. So if they ever remade this, I would probably hate it. I think somebody commented earlier actually about how people would feel. Something along those lines. It's way back now. I'm not sure if I can find it, but it was along the lines of how we would feel about sort of Russell Crowe and the other many names in this film playing the characters now, if they ever made sort of the film for the next book in the series. And some of them would work. Blakeney would not, because Blakeney is now 33 years old, which would be an interesting one. So I think they would definitely have to reconsider it. Although I'm not entirely sure why they didn't carry on the franchise. I think it would have been very successful if they had. It did hit a sort of midpoint in the box office. I think it was 150 million to make, and they made 255, I think, in the box office, something along those lines. So it would be a midline, but it's definitely not missing out. That's for sure.
Yeah, it was released the same year as Return of the King. So that picked up a lot of the Academy Awards that year, and a lot of the sort of ticket sales as well.
Yeah.
If you're a man of a certain age with a certain number of interests, and you're given the option of something I've never heard of about boats, that kind of sounds interesting, but I've also got this conclusion to a trilogy that I probably love dangling in front of me, and which are you going to see? Well, it's going to, if they're, I don't know if they were literally up against each other, but I think that's the sort of received wisdom that these two films, they appeal to the same audience, and given one over the other, if you had to choose, a lot of the audience, I should say, went for Lord of the Rings.
Oh, absolutely. I do think it's very interesting. The books as well, it's very hard to get hold of all 20. Obviously, having 20 in a trilogy or a series is quite a lot for one set. I mean, I was looking earlier. I've only got the first one, Master and Commander, Far Side of the World. I've only got that one. And I bought it secondhand, so it didn't cost me much at all. But the first editions will cost you over £5,000 for the whole 20 books.
Yeah, well, someone's collecting these, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I did find reprints for about 180. So they're still very expensive, but having all 20 is quite the collection. Because obviously
you need a whole shelf for that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would need a whole. I need a new bookshelf just for Master and Commander. Well, they're not actually called Master and Commander. It's the Aubrey and
Maturin.
Yes, yeah, Aubrey and Maturin. Is it stories, files? I can't remember now.
Canon trilogy. Yeah, I don't know. It's a series. So I do have a super chat I wanted to read for. Did I read this one already? The $2 New Zealand. The number, I don't understand what this means. Number one female movie, Predator. I mean, I've seen, is that for women or about women, or is the Predator a female character? Is this what I'm finding out?
Females like watching. Is that what he means?
I mean, if he means that, then he must be joking, because I don't, it's not that it's unpopular with women, but it's definitely, Titanic is like women's favourite film ever, I think.
Up there. I know.
I mean, technically speaking, if you ask men and women, like, what is the best movie ever made, I think... we should look at it sometime, actually, because if you look at the actual lists of what films men and women think are brilliant, like best films of all time, they're very, very similar. But there's a list that I've seen of which films men think are great that women don't like, and conversely, which films women rank highly that men don't rank highly. And it's stuff like Harry Potter, like women love, that men just kind of think is meh. And probably something like this, I expect would be on the men's list, but Predator, I think it's definitely a good watch, but maybe more male catered than female.
Absolutely.
At least there's a female character in it, at least.
There is, yeah. I think Master and Commander is in a kind of happy medium, because there's quite a lot there for men. Obviously, you've got the naval aspect, you've got fighting, you've got the manly scenes, but then of course there's a lot of female aspects that we really like. Bridget Jones, God. No, absolutely not. So like I said earlier, you've got the maternal instincts, I think, kick in, especially with Master and Commander, because you do feel sorry for them all, but at the same time you root for them as well. You're like, come on, let's do, you want them to win. You're there all the way, whether it's just a patriotic thing, I don't know, because as you say, Cal, you were very much into it as well, so
yeah, I think this film is so notorious for women not liking it. I talked to a guy about it once.
Why?
we were doing the
don't
whole.
women like this film?
We were doing the thing where we just, we were talking about how much we loved it. It was a great film, and he said, I asked him about this, why don't women like it, and he said that he hadn't heard that, but he assumed that his girlfriend would not like it, and that he put it on once, like intentionally to annoy her because he wanted to break up with her but couldn't quite like muster up the courage, so he just started like low-key annoying her in like plausibly deniable ways, including watching Master and Commander with her.
Did she love it?
No.
Oh,
I was waiting for the switcheroo.
Yeah, I was hoping she was going to go, I really liked it, and then it just went completely wrong for him. That's what I was hoping. But, yeah,
she wanted to marry him after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised more women don't like this film, to be honest. I mean, as I said, I absolutely love it. I don't know whether that's because of previous experiences being on ships or visiting ships when I was younger, and having historical crushes on certain. Yeah, we know. Ladies know.
I mean, no, I don't know. I mean, who's more attractive, captain or first mate?
Probably captain. I think that's just because it's he's a captain. But
okay.
But to say that, I mean, in terms of Captain Aubrey, the character himself sounds great, but then you're like, oh yeah, but it's Russell Crowe, so not sure about that. But actual historical crushes, real people, it's
okay.
You kind of look back on it and it's like, okay, yeah, you look what they went through, and yeah, there's just it's very much a masculine film, but I think that's why women like it. It's because you're seeing men being men. You're not seeing men prancing around and flaunting about Paris. You're seeing men doing what they used to do, protecting the country, and especially, doing what they should be doing in some cases, and protecting what they want in life. They're protecting their home, they're protecting their family, and that just doesn't happen anymore. So I feel like women have a weird instinct to want to watch this film and think, yep, that's a man right there.
I feel like that's what Amy would say if she was on the stream.
That's a proper man. That's what it is. Yep. Hey, you listening? Get your hands dirty. That's what it is.
All right. Have we said all we want to see about Master and Commander? We'll wrap up the stream. Have a little look over the year so far, and look towards 2023 Women's Hour.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, other than definitely watch Master and Commander if you haven't already. It's a brilliant film.
I mean, if you haven't sold it by now, I don't even want.
Yeah, right.
Well, yeah. I'm wasting my breath, I think. All right, Cows, are you looking forward to Christmas?
Yeah, I'm very excited. This has been an odd year. I'm happy for it to kind of be over. But yeah, I'm excited to, wrap up the year with cozy vibes. Good food, good family, good friends, that kind of thing.
I'm I don't know about the child, your sibling, your infant sibling, but I'm really excited about preparing the stocking for my daughter.
Yeah.
This is the first year where she really understands Christmas, and that she knows she's going to get presents on Christmas Day. Aww. And what that actually means. So I'm just so excited. It's like being a kid again, like preparing for her to enjoy Christmas for really the first time. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I'm feeling that too. She's been talking about it like all month. Actually, she's been talking about it since American Thanksgiving, because we're like, the one after Thanksgiving is Christmas, and she's very, very excited. We just got her a bunch of stuff, sort of last minute Christmas shopped, found some good deals on some stuff, and we're very excited to see her reactions on Christmas Day.
So we did have a last minute super chat about Master and Commander, and since my New Year's resolution is to read all super chats, I will not exclude it for being late. For $5 Canadian, he's missed the stream. We'll catch you on the replay, Sam. But the soundtrack to this movie is great. Yes, it is. Yes, as discussed fantastic. Earlier. We love it. Birdie, Christmas? You're a fan, aren't you?
I love Christmas. I'm obsessed with Christmas.
This time last year, we were talking about Christmas decorations.
We were, yes, because I had some rather random ones on my tree, including a Santa flying
Baby Yoda, I believe.
And Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda was on my sister's tree. Baby Yoda is not on my tree. I can confirm Baby Yoda is not on my tree. I did make said Baby Yoda for my sister, Unfortunately, yes, I was asked to make that for her. But no, I love Christmas. I'm actually a bit more excited about Christmas, and I'm normally over the top with it. But this year, it seems to have just crept up on me. As I said at
Yeah.
the beginning of the stream, I've been very busy with sort of markets and things. So doing Christmas markets, even then, I've not felt very Christmassy. Today was my last market, so I have listened to Christmas songs for 5 days straight now. I've I've hit a limit. I'm ready to just relax. To be honest, I'm ready to have a few days off with my family, and well, my extended family as well now. As some people know, there's now 3 ladies in the women's hour panel that are engaged. So I think it's going to be quite an interesting and exciting Christmas for us all. But no, I do love Christmas. I've been quite prepared for it this year. I've gone down a different route this year in terms of presents and things. We do actually have a stocking in our house just for me and Alex because, we're giant kids and we love stockings.
You put stuff in there like for each other, or your parents come by and fill it up?
No, we put things in for each other. I mean, up to sort of the age of sort of 18, we were still doing stockings in my mum's house. So we were way too big for it, but we still make a point of like trying to curl up on the bed and try and sit there. I'm like, no, we will fit. We will fit the dog in the middle, and we're all trying to fall off the bed. But no, this year we do have a stocking for myself and Alex, and the little things go in there. So the small presents we'll put in there for each other. Which is lovely. We do like that. We've kind of started our own Christmas traditions. As people might have seen on my Twitter, actually, there's a bit of a Christmas tradition in my family, which I think everybody should take up because it's great fun and it's brilliant because you can spread it out throughout the year. Is my auntie actually started it off, and she lives in France. So when she came over, she obviously couldn't bring presents over for everybody. So what she used to do, I think she still does it for her immediates, because we kind of all do it in amongst our own families now. So she used to come over with some sort of small gift or decoration or something of some kind, and she would hide it in the house, whether it would be in the Christmas tree or around the house. She wouldn't tell you. She would just put it down and hide it, and you'd find it at some point. The record at the moment is a tea towel that she put down for my mum. It was a Christmas tea towel, and she hung it on what was the Rayburn at the time. And my mum didn't even own any Christmas tea towels, and she was using it for weeks.
Oh my god!
She didn't even realise, and she thought, "This is a new tea towel." It was one that my auntie had planted. So we do that every year now. So I will try and hide a Christmas decoration or a gift or something very small. It doesn't have to be serious. It could be something really silly, either on the tree or in the house. I didn't actually get a chance to do it to my sister or my mum this year, so I did actually just give them Christmas decorations. I did manage to do it to Alex's mum, however. She has found it now, so I can say it on streams. It's okay. I got her a knitted sprout with googly eyes, obviously, because who doesn't want a knitted sprout on their Christmas tree? So I put that on their Christmas tree. It did make her laugh, so that's okay. My mum managed to sneak a nutcracker on my tree, and my sister put a ceramic pineapple on the tree. So, yeah, absolutely. And that was because of myself and Alex love the Lost Gardens of Halligan, and for anyone who doesn't know, their gardens down in Cornwall, and they grow their own pineapples. So there's a bit of a running joke there, but it's a great little tradition that we have. It's great fun. You can find something ridiculous, such as a knitted sprout, just something to make them laugh. You can leave something behind that. It doesn't have to cost anything, it's just something small. But no, absolutely love Christmas.
I love it. Yeah.
Very, very very much looking forward to just having time off now. So,
do you ladies have Christmas crackers?
Yes.
I've never had one.
Oh, really?
We don't do them over here. Hat has
Oh,
made it a point to be like, once you are over here for Christmas, you're getting a Christmas cracker.
yeah, they're nowhere near as good as they used to be, I think, because I remember years ago, I've still got it actually. One of the Christmas crackers I got, it had a mini screwdriver set, which was amazing.
Wow.
I actually have it in my handbag, and honestly, it has been the most useful thing I've
That's
ever bought in a
awesome.
Christmas cracker. Especially with the Christmas lights, because they have those tiny little screws in the battery packs that are an absolute nightmare. So having those is amazing.
I don't think I've ever got anything in a Christmas cracker that I've been like grateful to receive. So, since I was a child and I got over that, when you're a kid, like anything is like oh my god, a thing! Like I got a thing! Like I'm so excited. Once I got over that, it's like I don't need a huge like paperclip. It's just like this is not useful.
Yeah, I think it was just, you know, the whole experience of Christmas crackers, I think is fun. You should get the loud noise and the hat, and the smell of them is quite nice. And
I like the hat. I like pulling the cracker. I like even the bad jokes. I like to pretend I'm reading the joke, but I actually just say a joke like off the top of my head.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just something about them, I think. It's do you do the whole crossing arms things, Poe? Or
yeah, everyone at once, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if Hat's told you this, Cows, but if you sat around a sort of a table, you will cross arms, and then you
pull like this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you're holding two.
Yeah, you're holding two.
And if you're really lucky, you get like the meaty side of both, and you become like the king of Christmas.
Yeah.
But on average, everyone gets one.
Absolutely.
All right,
if you get the fancy ones that have like little metal toys in, if you pull them a bit hard, they tend to fly around the kitchen, and it gets a bit chaotic.
Land in people's wine glasses.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's great fun. It's great fun. I do love Christmas crackers.
I'm eagerly anticipating it.
I feel like we just need to send you some. I don't think they'll let us send minor explosives across to America.
Okay. There's going to be no Wamen hour over the Christmas period. The 30th of December is the next Women's Hour, but I'm not doing it. I'm going forth into 2023 without bringing any negative vibes. I'm thinking of just like not doing Wamen hour some weeks, like when I can't deal with like the extra hassle of doing it. I might just not have an episode occasionally. We've been quite consistent up to this point, but
we have. I feel like Women's Hour has been very, very consistent. We've had very different people on this year, which has been very nice group going on.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a lot of different topics as well. I will actually add a nod to those who've been sending in super chats. So thank you for everyone.
Thank you so much.
And thank
it's been great. This is the first time I've
as well, which is great.
So just about the super chats, this is the first time I've ever made an income from YouTube. I've been doing this for like 5 years, and this year is the first time I've ever actually made some money on it. So that's been really nice. Thank you for everyone sending those in. We do really appreciate all of our patrons. The other thing next year, I wonder what you ladies think about this. I'm not going to put it to a vote because we all know that democracy is deeply flawed. But when we have some more of you married off, I'm hoping next year or whenever, when that, now that that's become something that's coming up on the horizon, I've been thinking about renaming. It was Women's Hour, now Wamen Hour, and then maybe Wife Hour. I don't know what you think about that. Like it's a more
waifu hour.
It's got more of a kind of trad theming to it, you know, like we're
it does.
From women to wives. We've evolved over the course of the show.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know when we can change the name of this. I mean, me and Alex certainly have a rough idea / date of said wedding. I don't know if you do, Cal. I'm aware Amy does, but I know she hasn't voiced it, so I won't mention that on stream.
I'm purely in a legal engagement according to the British government, so yeah. Haven't quite gotten like to rings and proposing yet. It's literally just a legal status, so I can get a visa over there. But yes,
whatever it takes.
It still counts.
Literally.
I mean, I will openly say myself and Alex are getting married in October 2024, so we have actually got a year in between. Because we do have another Steam Fair to arrange next year, which takes up between 6 and 8 months to arrange in itself.
Beautiful that you have to arrange your lives around the yearly Steam Fair.
It's quite funny. So we've got the Steam Fair first, and then the year after, myself and Alex will be taking a year out of the Steam Fair in order to arrange the wedding. So I do have a very large family. I'm one of 3, which isn't too bad, but my dad is one of 6. So in terms of that, we've got a bit of arranging to do, but that's absolutely fine in our eyes. So yes, we are prepared, shall we say. And Alex has requested steam engines at the wedding. So yes, those who were asking, including our lovely daughter of Albion, actually, she did send me a message. We are having steam engines at the wedding. There you go. There's the answer. They will be
Wouldn't
there.
have it any other way.
Exactly. Alex has requested them, so that's my little job. a little job.
You're not going to come down the aisle on like a mini engine, are you?
Absolutely not. I'm not.
Or
having...
get dropped off at the entrance, you know.
Yeah, I've even though we're having steam engines at the wedding, I will not be putting a white dress anywhere near a steam engine. I can promise you that much. White boiler suit has been mentioned, but that's yeah. I'm not entirely sure about that. So
maybe for the after party.
Sorry, cows. What was that?
Oh, I was saying maybe for the after party.
Yeah, maybe
you don't want to get it all dirty.
Yeah, I mean, it would be quite amusing if there was sort of a white boiler suit and see how much dirt you can get on it. It would be quite that could be arranged. Yeah.
So I just wanted to read out. We got a Christmas present from Edie or Eid Wolf. Also, is that Sly Sneak I see in the thumbnail for that? That's a throwback.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, €10. Thank you very much to Eid or Edie. I don't know how to read that.
Very kind of you.
And with that, thank you for the lovely Christmas presents, super chats, and I guess that's all we have for tonight and for this year. So Merry Christmas to all, and Happy New Year. Hope you all got what you wanted out of 2022, and if not, I hope you find it next year in 2023.
Yeah, we're gonna enter next year very quietly, and no one's gonna touch anything. Okay, we're just gonna go very quietly. No one say anything. It's gonna be fine.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good
Thanks
night.
so much for watching.
Good night. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.